Hello, guys. Happy Monday and happy podcasting with me. I am hot. It's hot out there. How are you guys doing out there? Actually, we're having a heat wave on the East Coast, so it is pretty hot. So I'm making sure to have my water with me. So if you're dealing with that too, make sure that you have your water and that you're sitting by a fan somewhere or your air conditioner to get that necessary coolness, because that's important. Or definitely go outside. It's great outside too, but just be careful. So you are, what I normally say, absolutely beautiful. And if no one told you that today, let me be the first one, beautiful, because that's exactly what you are. You are listening to the Estrogen Chronicles, Her Plate and Her Power. I'm your host, functional nutritionist Gail Thorpe. So I want you to make sure you grab your pen and your paper and your tea and your coffee so we can get into it. So today, guys, we're going to talk about something, again, dealing with us as women and what affects us and how nutrition and taking power of our plates can definitely help us with each journey. Okay. So dysmenorrhea, which is basically painful periods. Now I know you know about that. That's a big one. We've been making sure to keep within a lot of the different topics. They all kind of make sense. It's going from the perimenopause to menopause, that kind of way. The different things I want to make sure that we address, right? And how we can take back our plate. So with dysmenorrhea or painful periods, this includes things that affect our lower abdomen or our back. Okay? And it can be two things. It can either be primary or secondary. Now, for primary dysmenorrhea, this is caused by natural prostaglandin, which releases inflammatory compounds that cause uterine contractions. And sometimes when you have your menstruation, you can actually feel those contractions, right? I know I can. I can feel that. You can feel those contractions sometimes. If you pay attention and if you know your body well, you can feel it. And then you have secondary dysmenorrhea, which is linked to an underlying condition. Now that could be endometriosis, it can be fibroids, or it can be pelvic inflammatory disease, right? So that's what we go by as far as understanding, which area that falls into when it comes down to painful periods. So what are the triggers? What are some of the triggers? So it can be triggered by hormonal imbalances, especially estrogen dominance. It's triggered by inflammation. It can also be triggered by deficiency of magnesium and omega-3. And it also can be triggered by having a poor detoxification pathways. Okay? Now, some of the symptoms that you're going to have with your painful period is, of course, cramping in the lower abdomen or back. And this can actually occur before or during your menstruation. Okay? We talked about PMS and the symptoms that we have 2 weeks before our period comes on. So this is going to fall right in alignment with that. You can also experience some nausea or vomiting. I know I felt that before. I've never vomited, but I definitely had nausea. And then fatigue. It makes you very tired. You'll have sometimes diarrhea or constipation. And you definitely can have a headache or experience some form of dizziness. Right? So those are some of the things. It's tough being a woman, right? We have to go through so much. But when is the time that you want to, okay, those things are normal, but when is the time that you need to consider seeing a doctor? So if this pain that I talked about, it interferes with your daily life regularly, Okay. And if the symptoms start to worsen over time, and when you try to take let's say a Tylenol or Advil, and that's not working, so any type of over-the-counter pain relief or even lifestyle changes, nothing is working. If you're bleeding heavier or spotting between periods, okay, and if you have pain during your intimacies, that could be a signal of endometriosis or fibroids. Okay, remember that. So there is such thing as a normal symptoms that you will have. This is just something that we go through hormonal, but sometimes it can get out of hand. And if we start to experience that a little bit too much, we want to pay attention to ourselves. We want to pay attention to our bodies. And that definitely can signal other things happening or paying attention to maybe something else going on to the point that we have to get additional testing. Okay. All right. So as always, we talk about foods. We're taking back our plate. Remember that. That's what we do. And again, a lot of these foods you've probably heard before, only because of the fact that these are the foods that can help us. These are the foods that can reset our bodies and sometimes can even eliminate some of the pain or symptoms that we are experiencing. Right? So when we have painful periods, we definitely want to go on a more anti-inflammatory and hormone balancing foods. Okay? So again, things like spinach and kale, which is full of magnesium, and that helps also with muscle relaxation. So when we talked about having cramps, right? Remember I said you could even be deficient in magnesium. And if that's the case, then that could explain why your cramping is so painful. All right? So we want to take a look at that. Fatty fish, salmon, sardines, omega-3s. And this helps to reduce the prostaglandins, which is part of the cramping and an inflammatory process. That helps with that. So eating it is always the best way, but if you cannot eat it for maybe you're busy, things are going on, you want to definitely have, take a supplement of omega-3s. Okay? You want to take a look also at the lignans, like flax seeds or chia seeds, helps to balance estrogen. We talked about that before. We talked also about avocados, which is rich in healthy fats and potassium. And then ginger and turmeric. These are some very powerful anti-inflammatories. So, drinking ginger tea. And when I say drink ginger tea, I'm talking about going to the grocery store and getting the ginger root. And you peel it, wash it off, peel it, and you pour some hot water over it and a little bit of honey. And it actually tastes really, really good, and it smells amazing. But it's really good at anti-inflammatory. And it helps when you're going through the cramping. Or it can help when you have stomach aches too. And then cooking with turmeric. We want to definitely take a look at things that's rich in antioxidants and vitamin C, which of course is our berries and our citrus. We want to also look at foods that help to detox excess estrogen. Okay, so things like broccoli, cauliflower. Okay, our vegetables that really helps to get that going. Right? Those helping to detox excess estrogen. Okay? And then we want to look at pumpkin seeds, which is a great source of magnesium and zinc. We're taking back our plate every single time. And we know there are things that we have to stay away from when it comes down to painful periods too. Same thing. We talked about all the time. Refined sugar, which increases inflammation, and it also helps that prostaglandins to be present, right? So we know, we've talked about it many times. You heard me say sugar is a no-no. It just is. It does so much to our body in so many ways. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a piece of cake sometimes, because your body just normally craves those type of things too. Or maybe putting a little bit of sugar in your tea or coffee sometimes. But if you can find a way to go towards honey or something more natural, or maybe just no sugar at all, you're better off. You'll find that a lot of the symptoms with the painful periods that you're experiencing, you'll find that you're not having it as much anymore, or maybe altogether. Caffeine. Now, caffeine is something that constricts our vessels, and it worsens our cramps. So here you are, you're driving to work, and you stop off and you get your normal coffee, but you also have your menstruation. And you just so happens to get a coffee that has caffeine in it because you need that extra jolt, right? You're drinking that coffee, and then you get to work. And the first thing that you notice is that the cramps are painful. They're so painful. And you're like, why is that happening? And of course, we know that a lot of times drinking coffee in the morning can definitely disrupt your stomach as well, right? But this is what's causing it. The foods that you eat can cause a lot of problems for you. So what I say is, instead of getting that jolt, try decaffeinated coffee. Okay? And if you're taking your vitamins every day and eating a great diet, you're not even going to need that caffeine. Dairy. A lot of people are lactose intolerant. Okay? But dairy can actually also increase prostaglandins. It can increase the levels of it. So we want to cut back on those things. Remember, 2 weeks before the onset of our period, and also during the time our period wouldn't hurt. Okay? So processed meats, which is definitely inflammatory and often are high in hormones. Because remember, guys, if we're not getting organic type of meats, we're sure to almost guarantee that they're pumping up your chicken, your steaks, whatever it is, with hormones. That's why it's good to always go organic and making sure that it's organic, because you're not going to have those hormones, because hormones on top of already being hormonal is not good. Excess salt. This leads to, of course, we talked about this, the bloating and water retention. And of course, we talked about alcohol. That affects the liver detoxification process and also hormone metabolism. So we want to avoid those foods. Okay? That is important. I know you guys are saying, gosh, I hear this all the time to avoid these alcohol. I don't want to do that. But you have to. You have to. So just to kind of talk a little bit more about the foods that are anti-inflammatory, we talked about, salmon, right? So you can definitely go salmon, sardines, anchovies. And again, this is rich in omega-3s, EPA and DHA. And that helps to reduce inflammation. It supports your hormone balance, brain and skin health. And you know how a lot of times when you get your menstruation, you break out. You break out, right? So how can I prevent that? Well, the foods that you're eating. Okay. Again, with the leafy greens, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, arugula, it's packed with the antioxidants like vitamin A, C, and K, and the polyphenols. And these help to lower inflammation. And that's why you hear me talk about these things a lot, because They're so powerful for you. And then berries, examples like blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, which are high in vitamin C. Okay. And they help to support your immune health and reduce oxidative stress. And then we talked about the cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and they contain indole-3 carbinol, which actually helps to support liver detox and estrogen metabolism. Now, there are actually supplements that have the indole-3 carbinol. There's actually in it. It's a DIM. It's called DIM. DIM. And that is something, but you'll have to make sure you get the right one though. Okay? But that is something that, again, if you experience painful periods, you can definitely, there's a supplement that you can take that has those cruciferous vegetables in it. Or you can always just eat those vegetables. I always recommend that first. And then we have turmeric. And turmeric is best paired with black pepper for better absorption. So it's definitely a powerful anti-inflammatory antioxidant. And it helps with the joint pain and PMS symptoms that we talked about last week. We have olive oil. Okay. Now, this actually helps to support your heart and your brain health. And it's actually comparable to ibuprofen, believe it or not. Nuts and seeds. So walnuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, and almonds. Again, it provides the omega-3s that you need. So the magnesium and the fiber, which is helpful for hormone regulation and inflammation. And then we have avocados, which is high in the monosaturated fats, potassium, and that helps to support your skin, your joints, and your hormonal balance. We have green tea, which is rich in EGCG. That's a very, very potent anti-inflammatory compound that supports metabolism and reduces oxidative stress. Now, keep in mind that green tea sometimes may not go well with other medications, especially high blood pressure. So you always want to make sure and check that that's something that you can take. And then fermented foods like yogurt, which is unsweetened yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi. And what that does is improves your gut health, which is directly linked to inflammation and hormone function. Okay, so again, you see that the correlation between what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, especially 2 weeks before the onset of your menstruation. And I really suggest, guys, that to help you to regulate this and to monitor these things, get a calendar. Make that calendar your menstruation checklist and to keep yourself informed, right? So this way, when you get your period, you'll be able to write, circle the date that it came and a date that it ends. So you can be a little bit more mindful of when it's going to come for the next month. So then this way, you can make sure that you'll always know the 2 weeks before you get your onset of your period, your menstruation, you'll be able to know, okay, now let me start to eat these type of foods, take these type of supplements. So this way I can see a change. I can see a change in my painful periods. And you will see a change. Trust me, you will see a change. So try it for a little bit and see how that works for you. Okay? Now, I always like to give exercises to help whatever we're dealing with at the time when we're talking. So what are the best exercises for relief? So gentle circulating boosting movement is best. So we want to do things like a yoga poses, like a child's pose or the cat cow. Sorry, can't talk, I'm hot. And that actually is great. and gentle. Walking, like light walking, that helps to ease pain and helps to boost your endorphins. Stretching, that relieves pelvic and lower back tension. Swimming, that's excellent. It's soothing, especially when it's in warm water. And then pelvic tilts and bridges, which gently strengthen and stretch the lower core. You want to definitely, when you're going through or you have issues with, very painful menstruation, you want to avoid high impact or very intense workouts, at least during the first 1 to 2 days of your heavy cramps, because that's only going to make it worse. Not to mention, you're not even going to want to do too much at that time. And if you have a very heavy flow, you're definitely not going to want to do too much. So you want to just keep it light, a little light walking, nothing heavy, like I said, some stretching, that all helps. So if you incorporate the stretching, making sure you're eating the right foods, making sure that if there's any supplement that you have to take because maybe you're too busy sometimes to be able to eat the certain foods that we're talking about, that's still a great way to get it in. But of course, for me, as a nutritionist, I'm always going to tell you about food first, right? But I also believe in supplements when you can't get the food that you need. Alrighty, guys, we are there. And what does there mean? There means gift time. If you hang out with me enough, I'm really silly. I like to have fun with my clients. I love to laugh and I love to enjoy. Life does not have to be so serious, right? Especially with us as women, we deal with so much stuff and we tend to take a lot of things serious because we tend to be when we're married or even have a boyfriend, or we tend to be the secretary, the wife, the lawyer, the teacher, we're everything. And we have so much on our plate, right? And then we're also at the same time experiencing a lot of things that we as women experience. So we need to be able to laugh sometimes. So if you hear me laughing, laugh right with me. Okay. So we're going to do a good anti-inflammatory. It's going to be iron boosting and cramp soothing. And this will be a juice. Okay? This is going to be our ginger cramp soother juice. Ginger and beet, actually. So what we're going to do is take one small raw beet. We're going to peel it. One apple. And it can be a green or a red apple. And then we're going to have one thumb-sized piece of fresh ginger. 1 cup of spinach. 1 lemon that's peeled. Okay. I have cucumber. 1 carrot. And you can add 1 cup of water or coconut water. That's optional if you want to do that or not. So we want to go ahead and juice all the ingredients or blend and strain it too, because we may have some pulpy things in and we don't want that. And we want to drink it fresh. Like I always tell you guys, drink it fresh. You don't want to have it sitting out too long because it starts to lose the nutrients. Just like how when you buy your car and your car depreciates with the time that you take it away from the car dealership. Well, the same thing happens with your juice. Again, I'm just kidding, but I'm just making the analogy there. And you want to do this at least 3 to 5 days before and during your menstruation. Okay? And if you do this, this will help you with the cramping. It will help to bring down inflammation. And it's also iron boosting, because also sometimes when we tend to have painful periods, we also tend to have a heavy flow, which we also can have anemia. And I'm going to talk about that one day too. So with that being said, we need something to help offset that. And this is what we're going to do there. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I can't believe it. We are done. I'm so happy that you tuned in today, as always. Be sure that you share this podcast, because just like you're getting great information when it comes down to women's health, you want to share that with some of your other lady friends or family as well. Don't hide it from them. Don't do that. And if you want to work directly with me, I am accepting new clients. You just want to go to www.nutritionudesign.com. Okay? You want to book a discovery session with me, and that's actually free. And working with me is having an accountability partner. I'm able to test for nutritional deficiencies. I'm able to test for so many things. Also your hormones. I can see exactly where you are. So I build a customized program around that, including the foods. So like we're talking now about the different foods that you want to eat and foods that you want to stay away from, or that you need to stay away from to help to prevent, in this case, painful periods. You will get an actual custom program. Take all the guesswork out. You'll have your menus, you'll have your shopping list, everything that you need, right, to get yourself going. So I would love to work with you. So definitely give me a call. Also, if you're looking for great supplements, now because I am a functional nutritionist, I have practitioner-based supplements, which they are supplements, but they're pharmaceutical grade. You cannot get them in the stores, guys. And you can't get them on Amazon. Okay? I'm not a fan of buying supplements on Amazon, because what happens is a lot of times the supplements can be third party. So sometimes you may see some supplements that are practitioner based, but it's actually shouldn't be on there. And they're coming from somewhere, God knows where. And they relabel them. And you don't know how long it's been on the shelf. So if you're talking to someone like me and working with me, I can provide all of the supplements that you need. I represent over 200 practitioner-based companies. So I have everything that you won't even imagine or dream of. So reach out to me. I would love to have you. And as I always ended with, wellness is not just a journey, but it is a lifestyle. I hope that you understand that you do have the power of your health by taking back your plate. And basically that just means taking control of what you're putting into your body to make you a healthier person. And that's so important. It can be done, trust me. So with that being said, ladies, I enjoyed today. And as you can tell, my voice is back better. I'm so happy. Every now and then it gets a little hoarse, but it's mostly back better. So I'm ready to go now. So thanks again for tuning in, and be sure, like I said, to share, and make sure that you like this podcast, so that way you will know when my next session shows up for next week. Have a great rest of the week. Try to stay cool, and I shall see you soon.